One. What's up, everybody? Oh my God, we're working! Yes, I fixed it. Okay. Sorry about the weird live stream-ish thing there that happened a minute ago. My computer decided to try and explode due to too much pressure from the Men in Black. That's my theory.
It could be the Men in Black.
It could be. There's a very, very high possibility that it could be indeed the Men in Black. I'm Johnny Deadly. Over on my left here, or my right, depending on what side of the computer screen you're on, is my homeboy and main host from where we are here on the Screen Warriors, who was supposed to do the intro, but I was so excited that everything was streaming properly that I lost my shit a little bit.
It works for me. I'm not the best at doing intros, so it worked for me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Scream Warriors podcast.
Is it not 7?
6, I think. 7.
I thought 6 was last week.
Well, yeah. It's sad. We could tell the research and stuff that goes into our podcast when we don't even know what friggin' episode we're on. But it's okay.
Yeah, no, this is in fact episode 7 of the Scream Warriors podcast.
Okay. Episode 7. Good thing we're going live.
Good thing we're going live.
We are doing today, we kind of discussed this briefly during the last podcast, just out of the blue. I think we started talking about conspiracy theories.
Because I fucking love them. That's why.
And kind of got the brainchild idea there to do this episode about conspiracy theories. Now, we were going to do maybe a few different conspiracy theories, but we figured that would probably go on to be about a 4 or 5 hour podcast. So we are picking one theme today, and hence why I mentioned him, the Men in Black.
Galaxy Defenders!
Not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and their little flashlight thing that make you forget stuff. The real Men in Black.
The real Men in Black.
Yes. Not
the large, ominous, bald, eyebrowless, eyelashless Men in Black.
So, for you who may not know the real Men in Black and are only familiar with, like I said, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones,
Men in Black.
What the real Men in Black are, or they do, is they supposedly come unannounced when people either run into, or have not run into, but have seen UFOs, or are maybe doing research into UFOs,
or if they're talking about UFOs, or explain that. You're going to have to elaborate there for me.
Oh, this is Bob Saget, and he's saying aliens. That's about all I got for you.
It's good enough.
Something from the brainchild of Scream Warriors contributor Jessica. So she came up with this when I was talking to her about us doing Men in Black, and she didn't really know. Is she trying
to imply that he's an alien?
No, she was actually trying to imply that Bob Saget is a Men in Black.
Oh, that he's actually Men in Black, not just an alien. I thought this was like a...
about the episode today, and she goes, well, do you believe in them or not, or do you believe that it's Bob Saget? And I was like, yes, I do believe it's Bob Saget.
I thought this was like I thought this was like another Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. So
There's no
But,
there's no way that boy's from Earth.
It snowballed from there, and now we've got this.
Bob Saget.
You're welcome, YouTube.
Alien Bob Saget.
So,
A possible alien, possible Men in Black member, Bob Saget.
well, actually, right here, people, in many cases, from what people say, the Men in Black have either seen aliens, in some accounts, they're actually aliens themselves. So the Bob Saget thing can tie in there.
Yeah.
Or demonic supernatural, which, appearance-wise, they're normally tall. I guess maybe kind of Slenderman looking. Tall, white, pale, no hair.
In the couple of video shots of there's going to be a lot of supposedly used in a lot of the video shots of the supposed Men in Black that you can find online. They do appear to be unnaturally larger than the average gent.
Mm-hmm. And
yes, and as I said earlier as well, the baldness and the lack of eyebrows and eyelashes is supposedly a running theme as well, and they act very robotically. And
one of our cases supposedly are the Energizer Bunny, and I guess was dying on his batteries and had to recharge, from what one of the stories you were telling me.
Yeah. You see, the stories we picked today, I said there's going to be a lot of supposedly, because, number one, I'd just like to clarify, to the best of my knowledge, the Bob Saget thing isn't a legit conspiracy theory. No, okay, just to clarify, it's just a funny picture. Okay, I was unaware. But
it's my attempt at humor.
When I say supposedly, there's a lot of pinch of salt with some of these things sometimes, and it's just that the 2 or 3 stories that you and I have been particularly delving into in the pre-chat were very much what one would call reliable sources. Because one's a military doctor. Well, one's a military doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. Herbert's a military doctor, and the doll case, the two of them are police officers.
Yeah.
Albeit C police, which I can't remember the name of for the life of me. I want to say Border Patrol, but I don't think it's Border Patrol.
Yeah, we'll just say C police. I like that.
We'll say C police. You know, but like they'd be what I would consider
kind of like the Navy, kind of. And
well, they'd be what I consider reliable sources.
Yeah, I mean, there's and like not not gonna like go too far off side note, but like I mean a lot of alien or UFO not conspiracies, but like there's been a lot of Air Force and police officers and like you said, like valid people that have claimed to have either seen or have heard of some kind of UFO and have witnessed a UFO and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where, I mean, that's why it's like a conspiracy theory is you just, some people are credible, some people aren't, and you just got to take with the stories, like, you just got to take them for what they are. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint some of them if they are real or not.
Well, and if you do try and pinpoint them, some large dudes in black suits that look like they're into ska music are going to show up and have a chat.
I honestly think they are the reason why it took us almost 2.5 hours about an hour and a half to start recording today, because I think they're trying to sabotage us. Because
Bob Saget?
Yes, because of Bob Saget.
We're going to get sued by Bob Saget. We're doing a conspiracy theories episode, and Bob Saget's been the main.
You will not look at Bob Saget the same after this episode.
I never looked at Bob Saget in
any way at all. So, are you ready to get into maybe a couple of our stories?
Pick a story and get into it.
Smoking a pancake?
How about before we move on, Bob Saget, because I actually reckon my head now, is he from like Full House or something, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, the face looked familiar and I just couldn't place it there for a minute.
He is Danny Tanner from Full House.
Still is Danny Tanner from Full House, if memory serves me correctly.
He's on Full House, which is currently out, so yeah. He's currently still in some house that's full.
Pretending not to be a member of the Men in Black.
So let's get into our first story here about Dr. Herbert Hopkins.
Oh, this is great. I actually love this one.
About the disappearing coin. Mr. I guess our Men in Black are magicians, too.
It's the disappearing coin. Well, from a guy who works for a magician, I can make coins disappear left, right, and centre. It's more what happens after the coin I find interesting. Don't get me wrong, the coin and a bit of conversation about the coin is great, but
yeah, I'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So anyway, Dr. Herbert was on a suspected UFO case for the military, and he was doing his research as he was wont to do, and he got contacted by someone who was supposedly a member of the New Jersey UFO Appreciation Association or some stuff like that, and wants to arrange a meeting with him to talk about said UFO. And Dr. Herbert, being the nice chap that he is, although stupid in my opinion, because I would have thought if you're working for the military you shouldn't be going meeting random UFO consultants, but anyway, he says, yeah, cool, I'd love to meet. And as he goes to turn on the porch light so his guest can find his way to the house, he finds his guest already walking up the drive.
Yeah. And this was in the 70s, I believe, 75. So
60s, I think.
60s. Regardless, there were no cell phones, so it wasn't like, hey, I'll be there, I'm calling from outside your house.
Yeah.
And so, spooky. And I want to read the statement that Dr. Herbert, or Hopkins, I'm sorry, said about this coin situation. So I will read that. But
it's Dr. Herbert Hopkins. So
Herbert Hopkins.
Myself and him are mates. That's why I call him Dr. Herbert.
Oh, okay. So you guys are on a first name basis.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that.
That's a lie. Just to clarify before anyone starts turning that into a conspiracy theory, that's a lie. I've never met the man before.
Okay. So, the man in black informed Hopkins that there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket, which was correct. And he asked Hopkins to remove one of them. It was a shiny new penny, so he put it in the palm of his hands, and the MIB told Hopkins to watch the coin closely. After a few minutes, the coin took on a silvery appearance, and then appeared to be going out of focus. It began to fade and eventually disappear altogether. The MIB informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen again. And then he inquired that if Hopkins knew about the Barney Hill, the alleged UFO abductee Barney Hill.
Yeah.
And he had told him, Hopkins said he'd heard of him, but he didn't really...
where was it? Pensacola River? Was that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Barney and Betty.
Yep. The husband and wife. They actually did a TV movie about that, and James Earl Jones played Barney Hill.
Yeah, and isn't that bit from American Horror Story Asylum based on them?
I don't know because I've never seen it, so I have no idea.
Oh, okay. There's a very strange alien storyline that runs underneath everything in Asylum, and I think it's based on the Hill case. I could be wrong.
I'll take your word for it.
They were driving up by the river and they got abducted from their car.
It sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was that.
The MIB informed. The guy thought that Barney Hill had passed.
Mm.
The MIB informed him that was correct, and he said that Barney did not have a heart, just like you no longer have a coin. And then After that, he was told by the MIB to destroy all research that he was doing and to stop, which he...
If this was a movie now, this is where I'd proper be like...
Exactly.
yeah.
And the funny thing is, actually, it says here in the little story, Barney Hill actually died of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh, wow.
So I think his heart was okay. So that's pretty much the story about Dr. Hopkins. I've heard of this story a couple of times in the past, but like this is the first time that I really looked in and did the research. And I'm sorry, but I find it very, very ridiculous.
Ridiculous, I say no. Over-exaggerated, I say yes. Do you get me?
Yeah. I like the coin thing. That's where I'm wishy-washy. Like, it was out of focus and changing colors and gone. Like, that's where I'm kind of like, okay.
Which was the coin was out of focus.
That's what that's what the statement said.
But maybe he was teleporting it.
So the Men in Black have David Blaine powers?
No, you numpty, to have alien powers of
right.
the alien powers of
alien powers.
Well, not alien. They have alien technology, possibly. I don't know. I don't know. It depends what side of the fence you're falling on, because there's a 50-50. Well, there's one core of people that think the Men in Black are straight up government agents that are just there to cover up any alien activity or any shady activity that's going on in general, but it seems to heavily revolve around aliens. Though they have shown up in non-alien applicable cases occasionally. Then there's the other side of the people that think they're aliens trying to keep alien info down and all of that. And then there's Section C, which are the people who've seen the Men in Black movie, who are like, oh, they're totally in cahoots with the aliens, and they all run a big agency together, and Will Smith and them have dancing song-offs.
Yeah, I fall more on option A. I do believe that they exist.
Oh, they definitely exist.
I don't think they exist to the extent of the stories that we have here today.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a quick photo of Mr. Hopkins here to see if I can give some people a looky-loo. Because now that we're live and my RAM hasn't been taken up, I can do all of these delightful things for you people. Dr. Herbert. Keep talking away there, Buzz. Ignore me for a moment.
Yeah, I like it to ignore you a lot. So, yeah, like I said, I do believe, they're out there, but it just, I don't know, sometimes it's hard when so many people have reported, like, either these altercations or sightings, to not take it somewhat seriously and it being somewhat of a real thing. I know of another situation, a story that we're not going to talk about here because we didn't really do the research, but I've seen the video in the past. It's actually more of a recent one. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but it was fairly recent.
Right.
There was two of them caught on video coming into a hotel lobby to talk to somebody that worked there.
That, my friend, I can get a photo of. I'm finding a little bit of issue tracking Hopkins down. They'll probably erase him clean off the planet.
Yeah. He is like the coin. He no longer exists.
Yeah. Or has a heart.
Yeah. But that one was, it was so hard to tell because there are two men that walked in with business suits. It's like they could have been anybody, but trying to like remember the video in my head. There was somebody that was kind of like in the vestibule when they were coming in that you can kind of were able to compare a little bit of size to them, and they did seem extremely large compared to the other person. But then again, that could have been a small person.
Yeah, so I have it still up there in the middle of the two of us, which is literally from that video. Now, it's only still because the video is on, if you type in Men in Black real life cases into YouTube, I think that's one of the first videos that will show up. So just to avoid copyright issue, I'm not going to play the actual video. But as they walk by, if you look in the top left of the photo, you can see that there's kind of a janitor or something like that in the top left. And as they walk by, especially the dude taking point as they're walking in, is extraordinarily large in stature compared to... Yeah. He's like WWE size compared to normal people, which... Yeah.
He's like Drew McIntyre compared to...
Yeah. Like
somebody else.
Which, like, don't get me wrong, I know guys that tall back then weren't as common. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't really go taking that as a serious sign of aliens.
Well, this one from that video is...
Because they weren't common, and the reason people didn't see lots of them were because they all ended up getting hired to work in the military and the FBI because they were big as shit.
Yeah. And like I said, that one is more of a more recent video, so it's something where it's like it's more common for people to be a little bit bigger now, so it's kind of out of the ordinary. You don't really get to see their features very well.
Yeah, I can't. Well, you see that
I can't
the thing with the features side of it, which makes a lot of sense, is if they do have this eyebrowless, eyelashless, bald head, there's not a lot to see. It's just skin with eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think that's one of the reasons all of that stuff's missing, is because there's no actual differentiating featural comparison between each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find a year on this video, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't. I know, like I said, it's got to be within the last probably 10 years. So
yeah, it's a modern enough looking bank, and it's in color as well, which says a lot.
Yeah. So, if like you said, if you haven't checked it out, definitely just do a YouTube search, Real Men in Black. And it will definitely probably be on there if you guys want to take a look at the video.
If you're a bit of a fox molder like myself and Buzz, you're going to find lots of interesting facts in it. If you think all of the alien fishes will bunkum, it's really just two dudes walking in the door. Ah! Sorry. It's really just two dudes in black suits walking in.
Pretty much, yeah. It's too hard for me. Like, I've seen the video, and it's really hard because you just it's grainy, so you can't really.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard because you don't really see, besides that one person, like you were saying, the janitor looking type guy. There's really you don't see anybody else. So, and it's just they walk in and they walk past the camera.
You can also, it could be the photographer in me, but you can also take into account, if you look at the size of the sliding doors, and if you take a look at the guy at the back, now those sliding doors are usually pretty tall, because I'm 6 foot on the money, and they're usually still a good bit over me, and they're maybe, when your man's standing beside it,
9 to 10 feet.
9 to 10 feet, so your man's, both of them are, what, 7 foot maybe? Because there's only about 2 foot worth of difference between window and head.
Yeah.
Judging by the back guy. So, 2 big ass 7 foot dudes walking in black suits. Look, aliens or FBI agents or Men in Black agents or whatever it is, they do look like they're shady as fuck.
And if they take away the whole, are they aliens, are they demons, whatever that people keep trying to say that they are, if they are trying to stop you from making stuff public or doing research or whatever, they have to look intimidating. Because it's like,
yeah,
Gary Colt come and tells me don't talk about aliens, I'm going to laugh in his face.
What you talk about, Willis?
What you talking about?
What you talking about, Gary?
It makes sense that they're big, definitely. So it's like I said, it's definitely an interesting video to go take a look at.
I think that's a good segue into the next story, because the Dr. Herbert case, while intimidating, we did forget to mention that the guy actually in the Dr. Herbert case did, like, the post coin stuff that I found very interesting was he noticed the guy moved very mechanically and spoke very mechanically. And then suddenly he said, "Oh, my energy's drained. I need to go." What was it? Re-energize?
Yeah,
I think something along those lines. And then he went to walk off and get back into what was supposedly his car. And by the time Dr. Herbert had gotten out to the door, there was this big bright light that kind of overtook the entire area and kind of spilled into his hallway. And when he got outside, there was just nobody there, no sign of a car leaving. There was a sign of some movement outside, but nothing leaving like that. But the segue there is that while intimidating and all as that is, Dr. Herbert had a relatively pleasant experience, because it was just mostly flipping coins around and just been told, don't you be doing any shenanigery. It's a word. I made it up. It's all good. But when we move on to case number 2, where you and I have a slight bit of debate about what's going on, because I have one set of facts and you have another, although I think
while discussing it more, it kind of morphed into the same story, because...
Yeah. I think it was just whatever one you read just took the bones of the story and gave those. But Mr. Dahl would be the next case,
yep,
which I find interesting as hell.
Harold Dahl.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, you're frozen, but we'll keep going.
I'm not here.
Okay, well, on my screen you're frozen, so you're...
Okay.
You're probably being attacked by the Men in Black right now.
Okay. Is it on your Skype screen or on the YouTube screen?
I just have the Skype screen, so it's probably just my Skype screen, so...
Yeah, no, I'm still streaming... I'll just...
Alright, now we're good. You're moving.
Yeah. It's probably just bouncing between apps and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the Dahl story? Or do you want me to...
I thought we'd both tell the Dahl story. I thought that's what we were doing. we're having discussions.
This is the story about the Sea Police. And Mr. Harold Dahl. My story here that I've got is, like I said, is different from what you got, so I don't know if I really want to read what I've got. But
well, it was
him and his partner were working. They were on a boat. They saw what to be 6 donut-shaped objects in the sky. And this was the one from 1947, I believe.
Yeah.
They saw what appeared to be 6 donut-shaped objects in the sky, and that, I guess, shot something out of it. Like it disintegrated, or something got shot out of these supposed objects. And while that happened, Mr. Dahl's son was injured, I guess hit by a piece of debris.
His dog got imploded, from what I understand, by another piece of debris.
Yes.
It was mad that it was all the one family, even though the debris spread out.
But they were all on the boat, right, though?
No, it was him and his partner on the... Oh, no, wait, was it him? I thought it was himself and his partner on the boat, and the son was working in the...
The
son was working in the smelting factory.
Oh, yeah, yes. So, on
Maury Island, if memory serves me correctly, is where all this shit's going down.
Yep, the Maury Island incident, yep. So I guess what happened, a few days later, after talking about the affairs with their boss and friends, they were visited by a mysterious man dressed in all black.
Well, the man in all black, if memory serves me correctly, was waiting on the dock when they got back.
So that's where it's like, I don't know if I should be telling the story or not, because my information is different from your information. So, I mean, it's still the same central story, but it looks like certain details are different in each story that we researched.
They came back in to investigate what had crashed, and when they were looking around the dock, they were finding shards of metal. Now, the shards of metal turned out to be stuff from the smelting factory where the ship seemed to have crashed near. Looking at my facts.
Yeah.
But when they came back on the dock, they'd found a shard of the metal, and then they were approached by two dudes who looked like they were in a ska band again. And they were told basically, hey, did you see that weather balloon?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's like the universal excuse for aliens. Which I did like in the Men in Black movie, just to jump on the movie for a minute. Like, that was literally their excuse for fucking everything in the movie. Oh, there was a pocket of gas in the air, and then the lights refracted from Venus to Uranus, and, you know, exploding spaceship. Because that's how these things go. Bob Saget, motherfucker.
Yes, it was all. I love that excuse. It was weather balloons. No.
It wasn't. Hey, weather balloons, my friend, don't make a noise of fucking 2,000 tons of steel crashing into the ground.
Explode. Weather balloons do not make my dog explode.
Yeah, last time I wasn't a big component of a balloon oxygen. Last time I checked.
Exactly.
Or
I think we all breathe in.
Well, no, it'd be helium actually.
Oh yeah.
If they're floating it,
which if they're doing it right.
Well, thing with weather balloon is, and the reason they use the weather balloons are because they're filled with helium, and helium, believe it or not, as fun as it is to make your voice get high, is flammable as fuck. So
don't be sucking on helium and spitting fire at the same time. That idea.
Shucking diesel by.
So, not long after the encounter, Dow claimed that the whole thing was a hoax, but then recanted years after, having allegedly made the first confession under distress.
The distress of my wife getting fucked up, and my son just got fucked up, and my dog's a fucking pancake.
Yeah.
And two dudes from a ska band telling him, don't tell nobody nothing, unless you're telling him my bullshit weather balloon story.
I'm going to have to do a little bit more into the watch more video on the story.
There's actually hours and hours and hours of documentary footage on this case.
Yeah, were they actually out on the sea, or were they docked? Because if that's the case, how are these two guys just appearing on their boat if they're out, in the sea? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're docked, obviously you have easier access to walk on someone's boat because you're on the dock. But
when I was researching this, I found out that the Maury Island case somehow ties into JFK and everything. Although they love tying anything into JFK. You're right there. Oh, okay. I thought that... It's okay. I thought that was you coughing for a minute. I was like, are you alright? You sound like you're dying there, dude.
I'm good. My father just came home, so...
You're what?
Earlier than expected, so you just made an appearance on the podcast.
Who's that?
So
who's that?
We recorded a little bit later, so I was hoping to have all this done by this time.
Who's that? Men in Orange?
Yes, it was Men in Orange and Blue, dark blue.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I know. If we just thought about going live sooner.
Yes. We would be done by now.
Yeah. We'd be done by now.
All right. Do you want to move on to the last story real quick? Because I'm going to have to go probably make dinner here in a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah. We can shift it on. What was the last one we were going to do again?
We're doing the Dan Aykroyd story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll let you take it. Dan Aykroyd is a big alien buff. I'll give you a bit of background story, and then you can take... That was the one I actually hadn't gotten around to. I got stuck into the JFK side of things. It's a deep hole, man. Once the JFK door opens, whew! But Dan Aykroyd, for anybody who doesn't know, is a serious alien buff and got a TV show funded and running on Sci-Fi Channel. That was it, where he basically went around and interviewed loads of people about aliens and alien crashes and they had encounters with the Men in Black and all of that, which usually doesn't tend to bother the Men in Black and government agencies like that, because usually people don't tell people shit when they're on those TV shows, unless it's some crazy dude who was out the back with my friends, I drinking, and then I saw the goddamn lights coming in the sky. You know, where they're able to kind of go, no, that's bullshit. Oh, can you prove it's bullshit? You know, but it turns out, because Dan Aykroyd is such a cool chap, that people will tell him fucking anything. Fucking anything. And he was getting info left, right, and centre.
So he was filming, or getting ready to film this show. So he told this story about how he stepped out to take a phone call from Britney Spears, which one does a lot. Supposedly, she was asking him to appear on an episode of Saturday Night Live. I guess, I don't know if she was hosting or if she was musical guest. I don't know, because I don't know if the episode or whatever. While he was outside taking this phone call, a tall man stepped out of a Ford vehicle and stared him down. Aykroyd turned away for a moment and then turned back to find the man in the car had completely vanished. After he finished his phone call, he returned to the studio, so they were in the studio recording, to learn that the show had been canceled and he was ordered to stop filming immediately. The end. That's all there really was.
That's one of the Ghostbusters. That's one of the Ghostbusters. They're cock blocking there. That says something like that.
Dan Mother Effin Aykroyd.
Dan Mother Effin Aykroyd, and they cock blocked him bad.
I've watched more recent interviews with him. He's not all there. I don't think he's with our current reality right now.
Bullshit talking. Maybe the flashy thing though.
The pen thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It fits in with his story. I turned around, and then I turned back, and they were gone. Zap! You're going to turn around there, and you're going to give us about 10 minutes, and then when you're finished turning around, you're going to be crazy.
And I wonder if they asked Britney Spears about this. It was a phone call that happened.
It's weird how it's never come up in conversation. Although by the time anyone probably tried to interview her about it, she was already shaving her head and looking like one of the Men in Black herself.
Ooh. Maybe that's what she was doing. Oh, I like that. New conspiracy theory. Britney Spears is a part of the Men in Black. I like it. I buy that, but more than anything we've said today.
Really?
Not at all.
Really? Out of everything we've said today, my non-theory that Britney Spears is in the Men in Black is what you're sitting on.
Yes.
I'll put it to you this way, because you kind of want to get going soon anyway, so we'll start rounding off now.
Okay.
I'll put it to you this way. If this was an episode of Mythbusters, I would put the plausible sticker on 1 and 2, and I would probably, as much as I love Dan Aykroyd, probably put the BS sticker on that.
Egon? No, not Egon. Whatever his name is from Ghostbusters.
Can't remember.
Ghostbuster.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
3.
that's. I would say out of the 3 stories, the second one is the one that I believe the most. I believe.
Well, it's hard
to believe.
It's hard not to believe something happened, because there's just too many people involved. To be honest, do you know what I mean? Like JFK's in the fucking mix. His other buddy from the cops, who is the guy that ended up what's his fucking name? Chrisman. He's a partner in the cops. Chrisman ended up being the guy that put all the stories forward once he told them everything. Chrisman was involved. There was newspapers, there was documentation, there was, there's documentation that something happened that they can't identify because everything fucked off and disappeared before they could identify anything. And there's about 15 hours just from an hour that I checked around looking for stuff, there's about 15 hours worth of documentaries on YouTube about the thing, relatively easily accessible. So,
see, the way I think about it is my views on the Men in Black are pretty much kind of the same views I have in aliens in general. I believe in them. I just don't know if they're exactly how they are represented in like stories and accounts. I do believe they're in their existence, but I don't know if I believe in obviously with the Men in Black, with their special powers and all that kind of crap. Like I believe that there is a Men in Black in the government.
Look, if you think, I genuinely do think aliens have been on the planet.
Yes.
Is it the cases that we're seeing in Unsolved Mysteries? No. If you go digging around on the internet, you'll find shit that isn't so televised that, while not as exciting on paper, actually has a lot more facts surrounding them.
Yeah.
I genuinely do believe it, and I genuinely do believe that if they were here, I find it highly unlikely that the government would have been unaware of it, and I find it highly unlikely that the government would sit down and take it. And if you look at how they respond to human foreign extreme attacks and things like that, I would also find it very hard to believe that they wouldn't set up an association to cover up, block, and genuine or otherwise monitor and control the flow of extraterrestrial content, albeit from the stars or from YouTube. No?
Yeah, that's exactly where I go. Like, I believe they're there, I believe they've been here, but some of the stories that are told just...
Like another conspiracy theory in relation to aliens I'd love to get into for a different episode, because it'll be a long one, is what I would consider as evidence of extraterrestrial beings. That if you look at the trajectory of science and technology through history, we were on a steady incline for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden we got to the late 70s and 80s, and they're putting mini nuclear reactors into boxes so you can heat your dinner up in 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
They're making hovercrafts. The technological evolutionary jump from the 70s to the mid 90s, early 2000s is
stuff like that of alien technology.
Yeah, it's highly on another plane of trajectory compared to what it was from the 60s back. Yeah. And there's a lot of conspiracy around that as well, that they think it's the government of alien technology, and supposedly there's food and all that shit shouldn't be an issue, but the money isn't in the fix, the money's in the cure, the money isn't in the cure, the money's in the medicine, for lack of a better term. So, there you go. I just wanted to end it on a positive note for any UFO busts that were staying in, because I didn't want to come in and shit on the Men in Black.
Yeah.
It's just that the Dan Aykroyd story squirts a lot of speculation.
The bad ending of the Dan Aykroyd story.
Probably should have started with the Dan Aykroyd story, come to think about it.
Yeah.
Should have started with Dan Aykroyd and ended with the Bob Saget conspiracy. Fucking Saget.
All right, well,
that's been a conspiracy-fueled episode of Screen Warriors. I've been Johnny Deadly.
And I have been Buzz.
Make sure to check me out. I also have a horror podcast over on a different channel called The Gorecast that also happens to be a TV show in America on the Roku network, or on the American Horrors Channel Roku network. So you can check us out every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. CST, where we're talking about loads of random horror and just little comedy things. And if you want to find me on social media, it's pretty much The Gorecast on everything. Gorecast or The Gorecast, and we'll show up.
And for me, you can find the Scream Warriors on Twitter. My Twitter is @BuzzSWPC, and the channel's Twitter is @ScreamWarriors. There you can find all the latest information, episodes, and other stuff that we post, because that's kind of right now all we post. But hopefully pretty soon here, we're getting close to September, getting close to a month away from October.
Lots of stuff happening.
And we've
fingers crossed, because I haven't seen any of it yet, but lots of stuff happening.
Yeah. We've been hearing a lot of stuff is happening.
Yes. From what I hear on the grapevine, we're going to be flush come Halloween on the grapevine.
So hopefully, definitely be checking out the social medias there. Also, you can find me and Johnny, both of us, over on Horror Amino. We both do. We're both on the welcoming team there. Also, I believe we both do group watches.
We do.
And this week's episode, a movie for me, which is going to be kind of heavy to tell you, is Seven.
Yeah, I know.
Because I still need the.
Yeah, don't worry.
So
it'll be all good. And I'm doing Red State because we're doing, what is it? Religious horror movies, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, horror movies where religion comes and bites you in the bum.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Red State being a fine example of that, by the way.
Yeah. And Seven with the 7 deadly sins. So.
There's a load of good group watch content on over the weekend, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so check us out over there. Give us a follow, and if you're not over there, you can get it on your Google Play or Android store. That's the same thing.
There's also a Scream Warriors Amino as well if you want to have a little more Scream Warriors action.
Yep.
And there's a Gorecast Amino as well for all the Gorecast fans, called Gore Club.
So, all right, guys.
That's the plug's done.
That was this week's episode.
I think we're going to do live, and we'll probably be... The episodes will be a bit longer from now on, I think, now that all of the technical technical difficulties seem to have been...
We were going to start around 2 o'clock my time, and it's now 4:30, so...
Yeah.
It's all good. It works.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, if I'd known live was going to solve our troubles so quickly, I don't know if we'd have just been going live. So, anyway, I'm Johnny Deadly. That was Buzz. This is Scream Warriors. We're all done. Scream Warriors out.
Don't talk about aliens out too loud, or the Men in Black will get you.
Fuck them. I'll talk about them all I want. Bob Saget, you motherfucker.